Hi, I'm Kristie Smith. I'm a 7th grade science teacher at Edgewood Middle School.
And I'm Gideon Twigg, and I work as a literacy coach at Edgewood Middle School and Magnolia Middle School. And today we wanted to share with you a strategy you can use with your child at home to help support them when they're reading nonfiction text.
So this strategy is really useful for science class and social studies class, but really can be used in any area when you're looking at a nonfiction text.
The strategy is called S.W.E.R.V.E, and it really has 6 parts: scan, wonder, extract, read, verify, and evaluate. And we're going to work through these 6 strategies that really help your child be an active reader before, during, and after their reading, with an article about the island nation of Kiribati, which is really struggling with climate change.
So the first step you want to help your child do is to scan and survey the text. This is where they would be looking at the text for things like the title, the subtitles, charts, graphs, photos, anything that's sticking out to them that's going to help them form an idea of what the text will be about. This is also where they should jot down a prediction of what it's going to be about. And the reason for this is because when you're reading or selecting what you're going to read at the library or in college, you want to have an idea that the text is going to serve the purpose you need it for before you decide to get it. So this is a great time to walk through those steps with your child. The next step is wonder, and this is where you are going to list, where your student will list the questions they think will be answered by the text. So for this article, you might do so by looking at the subheadings. One of the subheadings said fighting climate change. So you could walk your child through what do you think is going to be answered by this section of the text? So they might say something like, how is climate change affecting Kiribati? Another subtitle was dealing with the problem. So an easy question coming from that could be, how is the nation dealing with the problem? And in the beginning, you can have your child simply twist the subheadings like that to get them used to this process. As they become more mature readers, you might notice that the text they're reading might not have subheadings, and they'll have to be using the images and other things more to kind of come up with those questions. So for this particular article, we had how are the islands affected by climate change? What is causing the sea level to rise? How is Kiribati dealing with the problem? And how could we help in the future? And these are questions that my students, when I taught this lesson, did actually generate, and they are answered by the text.
So now that students are warmed up and ready to read with the first 2 steps, you're ready to move on to extract and read, which is really where kids extract information from the text as they read, which is you're going to ask your student to jot down ideas that are related to main idea that might answer the questions that they've asked. It's going to be really important, though, to have a conversation with them about the fact that not all of the questions are going to be answered by the article, and that that's okay and natural. In fact, it gives you a great opportunity at home to pull out whatever device you have, whether that be a laptop, an iPad, a cell phone, and maybe do a little extra research to find out answers to those questions. But it's really important that they understand how all of the work they did before reading is helping them understand what they're seeing while they're reading. And so some of the information that you may have collected from this article might be that seawater has gotten into the drinking water, that Kiribati could end up underwater, that wealthy nations produce a lot of carbon dioxide, but it affects impoverished nations more, that crops are being destroyed by seawater, and that the residents don't necessarily want to leave their home, but they might be forced to.
And the next step is the V for verify the source. So this is where you would ask your child who wrote the article, where did the article come from, or if it's not an article, if it's a book or a text, who wrote it, was there an organization involved, and start getting them to think about different perspectives and why it might be written. So for this particular article, it came from Newsella, which is an educational organization, and it's primarily fact-based. So just in today's society, we know that it's an ever-increasing need to get kids to think about where information's coming from and different viewpoints and perspectives. So this is a great chance to have those kinds of conversations with your child.
And the last thing you're going to want to have your child do is evaluate their own understanding of the article. And this is going to look different depending on why they're reading. So for instance, if this text was sent home from a teacher and has a question they have to answer or a task they have to do, that really serves as them being able to evaluate their understanding. However, if they're reading this for research or their own information, then they might want to consider looking at some of these prompts that really force them to summarize the text, think about the main idea of the text, and knowing that if they don't or can't understand these questions, that they might need to go back and reread. It's also important for your child to think about their own personal thoughts and feelings about the information presented. And so this really helps kind of close their understanding and make sure that they really got what they needed to out of the information.
So that pretty much summarizes our S.W.E.R.V.E strategy. We hope that it's a strategy you find useful when you are helping your child read a text, just watching the news, or doing anything that is based upon nonfiction. Thanks for listening.